This is The Legal Brief. Now, this is part 2 of my fascinating conversation with Congressman John Lewis. Now, before we get to that conversation, let me just remind you that John Lewis was the youngest speaker at the March on Washington. He was head of an organization called SNCC. One of the things that he told me was that when he got there was some real controversy over some of the remarks he was prepared to make in his speech. Take a listen.
If we got to the Lincoln Memorial, the people still had some question about my speech. The music started, and there was a discussion between A. Randolph, Dr. King, Roy Wilkin, and myself, and 2 young people from the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. One was Portland Cox, and James Farmer, who's now deceased. He was the Executive Secretary of State. And it was there that Mr. Randolph said, "Can we make these changes?" He said, "John, we come this far together, let's stay together." And Dr. King at one point said something like, "John, I know you, this is I like you." So anyway, I couldn't say no to one of the
Yeah.
He's my friend, my hero. He was like a big brother, and I couldn't say no like a man like A. Randolph.
Yeah.
We agreed to the changes.
Yeah.
And when I look back on it, it was just a play on words of the rhetoric. But I think some people think that Robert Kennedy, a man that I admired and loved like a brother. Some people think Robert Kennedy got to the Archbishop and told him to make that request. But some people still around may know what really happened. But others are saying that people in the Department of Justice were prepared to cut off the microphone if I had said something extreme.
Extreme? Given what some of our public officials say in their speeches today.
Continue defrauding the public with ridiculous vote.
So by today's standards, you all have to be wondering, what could John Lewis have possibly written in that speech that could be considered extreme? Well, a few years back, when I was writing the book Marching Forward by Looking Back, I spoke to Congressman Lewis, and I asked him what portion of his speech was left out that they thought was so radical, so extreme. Now, here's what he said was left out, and I quote, "If we don't see meaningful progress here today, the day will come when we will not march on Washington, but we will march through the South the way General Sherman did." End quote. Listen, if you know anything about General Sherman's march to the South during the Civil War, you know this. It was as violent and brutal of a military campaign as anybody could ever imagine. And trust me, the Kennedys and Dr. King were not trying to have anyone imply or suggest in their speech that black folks were going to engage in a violent march through the South in the 1960s.
We march today for jobs and freedom.
In the end, John Lewis's speech, like his life, focused on freedom, justice, and nonviolence. So now you know. For The Legal Brief, this is Van White.